So, functional medicine for your practice. We talk about functional medicine for our patients. We talk about functional medicine for you as the doctor. But this is functional medicine for your practice. So now we're going to really dive into the nuts and bolts of this weekend. So here's our pyramid. Notice the center of this pyramid is that you're in tune and you're in line and that you're practicing functional medicine on yourself. So you are the core of this pyramid. We've got marketing systems. And this has to do with offline and online technology, which we'll be talking about. We've got a support team, your staff, your office, your lab, your supplements, your software. All those things are important. We've got compliant patients. Expectations. When I say expectations, I mean, what is the expectation of somebody who's never been in your office coming into your office? Do you control that? You absolutely can and you absolutely should. So what is the expectation? What kind of customer service are you offering? How do you educate your patients in the long run? What kind of protocols that you're using? How your patient follow-up is designed and worked? All this is part of functional medicine for your practice that we're going to be covering step by step. So, let's dive into marketing systems. We're going to focus first in the online arena. Now, how many of you here collect your patient emails? Okay, good. Most of you. If you don't start doing it, that's Monday morning. Action step. Write it down. Okay? Email capture and list building. That's what I'm talking about, collecting emails. So you've got this as an element. You've got social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and other versions and forms of social media. Product creation, affiliate marketing, and tribe building is what that last piece says, tribe building. We're going to talk about all of these in turn. And then you have the offline marketing component. Okay, another survey in the room. How many of you have a hard time or struggle with keeping a consistent flow of new patients? How many of you have all the new patients you want? Maybe I'll just word it that way. I see one or two hands. Okay, so live events, community outreach, patient and education, and referrals. So these are the pieces we're going to be going through. And then the tools that you're going to need for this marketing. So it doesn't require a full marketing team. But in general, what we need somebody who knows how to build a website. And that, again, this is a job below your pay grade. I built my first website, by the way, so I'm guilty of going against what I'm teaching you today. But I learned that lesson as I built my first website from scratch. It looked horrible. It wasn't very good. I spent countless hours doing it. I should have just paid somebody else to do it originally. You need the right software. You need a laptop, a video camera, and a mentor. These are very, very simple things that if you have them, you'll do well here. So let's talk first about building an email list. One of the most powerful things that you can do is build an email list. And I don't mean handwrite down the emails in a little book or a little notepad or a scratch pad. I mean having the technology piece in place where you can actually collect leads, systematically organize these leads, and follow up with these leads. Whether they're new patients or whether they're prospective patients, meaning they're not patients yet, but they could be patients if you created a relationship with them in an appropriate way. So when we talk about collecting leads, how many of you on your website have an opt-in box? How many of you know what an opt-in box is? So an opt-in box, that little place says sign up for my newsletter, or sign up here and we'll send you a free ebook on the 10 steps to curing a leaky gut, or whatever it is that you're going to offer your patient or your potential patient. But what we have, this is an example here on my office website of the form that we have all new patients fill out. In essence, if somebody calls my office and schedules an appointment, we don't type their information into our system per se. We force them online to fill out this form. Why do we do that? Because we want to collect their data. and we want to house their data in our system, in our database. But we also don't want to inundate my staff with extra work to do. So part of this is saving your staff time. And so when a new patient calls the office and they want to become a new patient, my staff walks them through going to this page on our website. It's a real big, obvious button on our website that says Become a New Patient. When they click it, this opens up. They put this information in and hit Submit. Now, once they do that, on the back end, automatically they receive an email from my office. That email has downloadable new patient forms. It has a map to the office. It has a welcome packet. So it has everything that new patient needs. We don't have the printing cost. We don't have to put it in the mail. Okay, it's all automated. So now think about automation. This is leveraging technology. You're using technology to save your staff time so that you don't have to spend the money paying somebody to do a bunch of redundancy, a bunch of redundant tasks. So we're getting these new patients to fill out this form, and then automatically they're entered into an email sequence. And I have a gentleman here, Darren's going to be talking about automation and email sequences here this weekend, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But once they're in our system, they're in our system, and now I get to communicate with them at will. As many times as I want, whenever I want to, I can send them an email. That make sense? Now, this is an example over here. It's a little bit different. This is a newsletter submit, meaning that this is just on a sidebar of our website so that if they want to sign up for our newsletter, we give them the option to do that. Maybe they're not ready to become a new patient. Maybe they just want to learn more about what we do. And so that's an example of a form. And so this, when they fill this out, automatically they're enrolled in our newsletter. And we have about 16 different automated emails that will go out immediately to that person, trickled out over time. So now we're creating a relationship with that person on the back end using technology. And these are all pre-written. These were written years ago, and they're just emails that are helpful, that are giving that potential new patient information about functional medicine, information about healthcare, information about natural treatment, etc., that they can gain a benefit from. So when we have a new patient come in, one of the things that you want to make sure that you're doing as you're building your list, I mean, the whole premise of building a list is making your life easier. So how many of you have patients who call incessantly? Anybody have patients that email incessantly, right? And so you find yourself at the end of the day returning tons of calls, returning a bunch of emails, like hours of your time being eaten away every week, right, by answering the same questions redundantly over and over and over and over again. Now, what we've designed in our office is an FAQ. FAQ is frequently asked question. And so we have a list of all the most commonly asked questions, right? These are the ones that my staff are like, oh, they sound like robots because they're regurgitating. So what we did years ago is we had our staff write down all the frequently asked questions that are being asked by our patients. And we answered them in this email sequence, right? So once the patient signs up to become a patient, now they're in an email sequence where we're answering all the questions before they can even call us or email us to ask us. Does that make sense? So automation, patient's initial visit. We identify the patient's health concerns. The patient is now placed in an automated email sequence designed to educate them on the problem that they have. So if that patient came into you because they were tired, chronic fatigue, or fibromyalgic, or hypothyroid, or gut problems, we have categories of email follow-ups that we place them in based on the nature of their main complaint. And so now, automatically, that patient's getting a weekly email from us, and we're educating them. That education reduces time in the office spent answering questions, both on my part as well as my team's part. We're preemptively answering the most common questions. The patients love it. They're thankful because they feel like they're getting support, and they don't even realize that that support is automated. They feel like it's real life time because it's coming to them. You see what I'm saying? They don't know that the email responses were written years ago. They feel like they're getting the email and that it's fresh and that it's dedicated just for them. But they're really in this automated sequence. It's generalized for the condition. And so they're very grateful. And what does that do? When a patient's happy and they feel like they're being educated and well-serviced, it increases customer loyalty. And when you increase customer loyalty, one of the other side effects to increased customer loyalty is increased referral. Now, here's the beauty in that. In my office, the average ticket is $5,000 to $7,000 per patient. So a new patient comes in, that's about the average of what they'll spend after their first visit. When they go off after that first day and make a referral, that referral knows that it's going to cost $5,000 to $7,000 to come see me on the first day. Is that a better, more qualified lead than some cold lead off the street who has no idea what I cost? Absolutely, because some people coming into your office might get sticker shock. You know, they might say, wow, I didn't realize it was going to be this much, and, you know, I just wasn't prepared for this. I need to go home and think about it, and then maybe they leave and they don't come back, right? And that you think about that hour. Right? That hour, for me, I charge $250 an hour for my time, just for my time. But my hour is not a $250 hour. So like when you calculate what patients spend on supplements and labs and other services that we have, my hour is more like $1,000 plus an hour. Right? So if I have a patient that comes in, pays me $250 for an initial consult, but doesn't follow through with my recommendations, then that hour was lost wages for me. Does that make sense? So that referral, if we've got loyal customers who know what it costs to come in and see us referring for us, then the people that they're referring come in knowing what it's going to cost. And so we've filtered out tire kickers. You guys know what tire kickers are? They're not really ready to spend. They're kind of kicking around in the car lot. Oh, no, I don't know if I want to spend this much money. I don't want those people in my office because if they're not sure that they want functional medicine, then I'm sure I don't want them in my office. Does that make sense? Because my hour is more valuable than to entertain somebody who's wishy-washy about what they want. I want somebody who knows what they want. They're here. They know what it's going to cost. They're willing to put down the money. And I don't have to fight with them. I don't have to convince them. I don't have to, I'm coming from the standpoint of a chiropractor. And some of you are medical doctors. Some of you are other forms of doctors. Many of you are chiropractors. But as a chiropractor, we're like swimming upstream because we have a reputation that's more tarnished than, say, a medical doctor might in the eyes of the general public. That's just the reality of it. Good or bad, that's just the way that it is. I don't need to spend my time convincing somebody that I'm just a chiropractor and you should follow my advice, and even though I'm not a medical doctor, and I don't even want to get into that whole psychological garbage in my head, right? So I want to walk in the room confident with a new patient and say, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do this, 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 and this, and this. That's it. You can pay at the door. Have a good day. And they do, right? And I don't want to have to sit down with that patient and argue my point. I don't want to have to sit down with that patient and try to be more convincing. Because if I have to try to be convincing, that patient is the wrong fit. And they somehow broke through all my filter systems in my marketing and got into my office anyway. So we have a compliance rate of over 90%. Every once in a while you get somebody that comes in your office and you don't know how they got there. But you want a high level of compliance because that hour that you have isn't about being paid by the hour. You don't want to be an hourly employee in your own office. You want to be paid much higher for the hour than just the hourly fee.